live in the dungeon. This is the Dream Warrior Review. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Mick Strawn.
This is part of the Into the Dark series on Hulu. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name. Is it Blumhouse or Bloomhouse? Because I hear people say Blumhouse now. I don't know.
Okay, Blumhouse.
I must have been wrong this whole time.
This is Blumhouse TV division.
Which actually, should I go ahead and say this?
Yeah.
I like this one better than the first one in the series. The first one was the Halloween, the body. This one's Flesh and Blood. It's the Thanksgiving one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I actually like this a lot more. It was pretty predictable.
Yeah, it was very predictable.
But it was some scenes were great.
One thing I have to say about this, and we're just coming off of Invisible Man, and I was talking about the utter simplicity of it and straightforwardness of it, and this is that.
Yeah.
It's
it's very simple.
Very simple, very straightforward.
You know that's what's going to happen half the time, but I love how some of the things happen.
It's true. I mean, now that I'm actually
the fact that she was agoraphobic and
right.
she couldn't go outside, and then she ends up having an enemy that's inside.
Right. Well, this is a long ways to go about curing agoraphobia.
And the guy that played the dad was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's been around for ages.
Where have I seen his name? I can't remember who that guy was. But.
There was something about the fact that somebody drives a van, and I was thinking, oh, of course he has to drive a van.
Oh yeah. That made perfect sense for his character.
It did.
But I like that little twist where she discovers something and and you kind of expected it.
Yeah, and you know what? The one funny thing about it is I kept thinking that it would reverse back.
Right.
Because I'm thinking of things as being primarily overly complicated these days.
Yeah.
Right. And so
maybe she was getting paranoid and she was just imagining things.
Well, or that she was doing it herself.
Yeah.
That she was.
I thought she was at first.
Yeah, I think that we both did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think we're giving too much away.
Yeah, I think that we are. What did horror films do before chat rooms?
Right.
Especially if you were related, if you were doing an agoraphobic chat room. It's like they don't get out often. And by the way, I thought to myself that she went to pick a weapon. She picked the wimpiest weapon she could, and then held it badly.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, for a Blumhouse or Bloomhouse TV, this is a big improvement. And actually, I like this better than some of the ones I've seen in the theater.
And the thing is this follows all the Blumhouse rules. I mean, obviously, it was very, very low budget.
Right.
And being they
were in one place.
They were in one place, you know, and everything came to that place, It wasn't like, I think there was I think that there was a police car was the only location in it.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And what was with the house? I don't think I've ever seen a house that has that
structure, that
much space in between.
Oh, yeah. No, that was.
I was confused by the architecture, I guess.
Oh, you know what? No, it was kind of the space in the walls. In the walls, there was it's funny. I've eliminated those kind of spaces before in 20s and 30s houses.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
In remodeling, just taking out like some of the classic things that they would put in. Back then, there were some of the first laws that came down, building codes that came out, were based around tuberculosis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and at the turn of the century, think of it this way. Housing up before the turn of the century, the thing that was primarily was your house was an open room. maybe with a couple of bedrooms, right? But everything was kitchen and living room and all the rest of that were as open as much as possible. And that was carried through, east to west. And then they tried to get rid of tuberculosis, and they thought that maybe it was food that was transferring it. And so the first actual building code that came out was directly related to that. They put doors in between all rooms so that the transfer of whatever germs it was or whatever it was would be harder to get from one place to the other. So you were stopping, and they didn't quite understand germs that well, but whatever they were, they figured that we were just going to that they couldn't go through doors.
Right.
So, and that hung out, that hung up until the 50s when those codes were eliminated, which sets the way that things looked. And those walls and stuff that they had to put in there were part of the reason that there were those walls where they were.
Huh. Well, I didn't know that. It's interesting.
So, I wanted to point out something.
I was trying to figure out what he's been in.
I'm 100% sure that more people have been knocked out with a needle in film
yes, yeah,
than have been, with the bad guy, hits you with the needle and makes. I am 100% convinced that has happened more in film than in real life.
Probably. So David Mulroney, I'm trying to remember what he's been in, but I don't recognize much.
He was in lawyer shows.
So he's done a lot of in the last. Oh, he did Friends like way back in the day, but.
I remember back in the.
He did some kind of. I know he did a lot of TV movies. That's where I know him from.
Yeah.
So I thought he was actually pretty strong because I was remembering the TV movies that he did.
Yeah. No. It's funny. You knew he was going to be really involved in it.
Yeah.
Because he was like, Paul and I always say, well, the bad guy is usually your biggest older prime director, your prime actor.
Yeah.
It's really true.
Well, this had a small cast too. It didn't have a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
I mean, what, 5 characters maybe? Or?
Yeah. And there were a couple things.
Maybe more than 5.
There were a couple things that they did that were really kind of well written. I mean, like, there was a starring role by a piece of paper.
Yes.
It was great. It was really great.
I was like, she made a wish about mom.
Yeah, right. Ooh, God, that'll get you.
I was hoping the mom would come to life at that point.
There was a scene that was a fire, let's just say.
Yeah.
There was a fire.
There was a fire at some point, yeah.
At some point. And the thing that amazed me is how little. I mean, the fire gag was supposed to be enormous, and they did it all with light. They did it with one little fire bar that was about that long.
Oh yeah,
that was the only thing that was actually burning.
Uh-huh.
Everything else was just lights and smoke and stuff. And I thought, it was pretty effective.
It was pretty good. I did a good job. Did you notice there was? Okay, I just noticed one goof just to point it out. When the therapist came in, and I guess the dad opened up the plastic that was separating the 2 rooms.
Right.
So he closed the plastic, and then the very next shot, it's open again. I was like, "Ooh, is this a ghost movie?" I was like, "You think somebody would notice that with editing or continuity guy maybe catch that?" Anyway,
I wanted. For some reason, that house so reminded me of the house that we were in Redondo Beach, because they had a lot of those, kind of craftsmen that were built in the 20s. And we lived in one of them, and I was just working on this horrible show. It's just, I was just losing my mind, bit by bit, working all night, I mean, literally leaving at 3 and getting home at like 8 or 9 in the morning. Ugh. And somewhere in the middle of the film, a skunk decided to move in underneath the house. Oh, and so I had to come home to like the horrible odor of this skunk. And my wife was like, well, we're going to trap it, or we got this the trapper stuff that comes. And I dealt with it for like 2 days. And finally, I went to the special effects guy, and and this was before they had paintball guns, I borrowed from the special. I was working special effects, but there was a company that we rented these air guns, right?
Yeah.
And
like you used in Boogie Nights, right?
Right. Exactly. Very, very, very much like those, and I wish I could remember the name of the company that did it, but I remember the guy. They were really finicky guns, and the guy would come in and repair them, and he was just the nicest guy in the world. But I went down and rented one of those guns and got underneath the house with it, and I closed off all of the vents except for the one that was the furthest from me, and just took little steel balls, and just was like just bam, 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 bam underneath the house shooting at. And the thing is these steel balls are then ricocheting around all over the place, and I just didn't care anymore. Right. I mean, and of course I didn't have any not
protection or anything.
No protection. No, I mean,
no World War II helmet or anything.
God, not even. Oh, yeah, not even a thought. The only thought in my mind was, God, if I don't sleep, I'm gonna die. and the skunk's going down first. And I finally just crawled up underneath there and found him over in the corner and started shooting at him. And in the meantime, Paula's yelling because she can hear the steel balls bouncing all over the place underneath the floor. So what the hell? What's going on? I got it.
I'm surprised the skunk didn't spray you.
He couldn't get that close to me. Trust me. I'm shooting like across underneath, and finally chased him out. After shooting probably 50 or 60, and finally went up and I slept. It was wonderful. Oh, wow. It was wonderful.
And I thought skunks were romantic.
Ah, my darling, how beautiful you are. How lonesome it has been that I have without you. Ah, the sweet nothings. Ah, the sweet somethings. Ah, the tender enrapturements.
Pepe Le Pew and everybody, and his girlfriend.
No, they're just horrible. Oh. Them and possums.
I've always wanted to get a skunk and degland it, like take the glands out, and then just have it be like a house pet. So if somebody tries to rob me, like the skunk will come out and they'll be like,
little animals, little wild animals, not so great. I used to have
they don't seem very bright.
I had a raccoon. Now,
you had a pet raccoon?
Pet raccoon for a while.
Wow, well, they're smart.
Yeah, I literally went and when I lived in San Bernardino, I was a kid. Living in San Bernardino, I went and painted a house, and literally the people moved out of the house and left a raccoon in a cage. And so I took it over for a while. The thing was just horrible. I mean, it was I actually totally understood why they did it. I mean, I had a great cage for it all set up in the living room. That what I did is basically moved the walls in by 2 feet, and that was all cage. Right, so all the way around the room, and the thing would go in the same patterns again and again and again. And boy, if you're frying, I gotta tell you something. It would just be nothing but that swirling around. If you happen to be frying,
you're frying roadkill like raccoon.
Exactly, that sort of thing. That's exactly what I meant. But it's little tiny teeth
would just fingers too. The claws.
Forget the claws. The little tiny teeth. They go into your skin like air. Oh. I mean, just they're just so small and sharp. That it was like having a fist fight with the razor blade. Oh man, it was a nightmare. Don't even want to think about it. So, anyway,
what would you rate it?
What am I going to rate this one?
Are we done with this one?
Yeah, we're done with this one. You know what? If I put 2.5 as being, that's the middle of our judging.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're, I'm going to say that I liked it enough to say 3.1.
Nice. I like this more than the previous one. A lot more. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, the one in the series. Yeah, that was.
I'm like a 3.2 or 3.3. Yeah. Just because I like the. Actually, I thought he did a really good job in some of the daughter. Two main characters were great. I thought.
Can I point out that
they didn't disappoint?
We're always like no more than a couple of points apart.
Sometimes,
except for.
There's been a couple.
Well, Halloween.
Oh God!
Except for the original Halloween.
You blasphemous fool! You.
you John Carpenter loving idiot. Yeah.
And the other one was I really enjoyed Saturn 3. I had fun watching that.
Well, that's that's because you're a moron.
Right. Well,
exactly.
A moron who knows what I like.
Yeah. You like exactly. I know what you liked about that. In the end. Okay, so let me think about it. Yeah, we're done. Oh. Yeah, absolutely. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I surprise you?
No.
Did I shock you?
What was that weird noise you made? It was like a cymbal crash or something. It scared me. You make the most amazing noises. Like, you could be like one of those guys on stage, like doing all the. I mean, if you go back to some of our podcasts, you make some crazy noises.
I try
just with your mouth and your hands and it's creepy.
I am creepy. There's no doubt about that.
Thanks for joining us on the Dream Warrior Review podcast. Don't forget to tell your friends about us, follow us, and, of course, like us. We can be found on Podbean, which is an amazing app, YouTube, Stitcher, Alexa on any pod, iTunes, Google Play. We're on Twitter as well, at DW Review, and, of course, Facebook. You can find us there. You can also email us at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com.